I am Loe Vale. I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a servant of the Lord, and I do music. I believe that's the ministry that God has called me to do. I also dabble a little bit in the videography realm. I paint, I cut hair. I'm a full-time barber. Um, that's who I am, man. I mean, all that tells you who I am, you know, in a boat.
Where are you from?
Born and raised in New York City, in Queens, and I lived there my whole life. I just recently moved to South Florida, living in Lake Worth. It's been a few years actually, so I'm already considered a Floridian.
Doesn't take long.
The cold weather over here actually is kind of too cold for me sometimes now. True signs of a Floridian.
Yeah.
I don't wear the scarf though, not yet.
How would you describe your life in New York?
It was rough, man. I mean, I love New York City, man. It's always gonna be home. But the life there was different, you know. Over here, it's more laid back. It's more relaxing. It's not as much going on, and that kind of gave me peace and some time to just kind of get away from the noise, you know. Life in New York, it was just my mom raised us by herself, you know. She had 3 kids, and we didn't have a father figure, you know. My older brother was my father figure, and he wasn't the best role model, you know. And so I fell into a lot of things, you know. And I don't want to say it's New York, man, because New York is a beautiful place, you know. But life back there was more distracted. There was many distractions, a lot more, man. And I didn't have the guidance, so it was just easy to get caught up in whatever, you know. So
if you were speaking to you back then, right now, you know, just in the New York lifestyle, caught up in the hustle, the give and go, all the distractions, kind of what kind of words of encouragement, like from where you are now, would you say to yourself then?
Don't follow the crowd. I would say don't follow the crowd.
Follow the crowd. So what were the crowds like? Because I know New York is like a huge melting pot.
Yeah.
Like people say Miami is a melting pot.
Yeah.
It's not quite on the level of New York as a melting pot.
Yeah.
So when you have all these crowds coming from every corner of the earth, like what is that experience like? You know? It's
weird, man. I mean, there's so many different nationalities. There's so many people from different backgrounds and ethnicities and different cultures and traditions. So it's pretty cool. My family's Colombian, and at home we was very Colombian. You know, like my mom, she only spoke to us in Spanish, and the music, the tradition, the food, everything. But outside of home, all my friends were Dominicans, African Americans, Puerto Ricans, white, Italian, Peruvian. You know, I got a whole bunch of different backgrounds in my circle, and so, and ironically, I only had like 2 Colombian friends, like just 2. That's it, right? And so now when people meet me today, they're like, "You're Puerto Rican, right?" And I'm like, "No, I'm Puerto Rican, man." They're like, "Bro, you look Puerto Rican." I'm like, "No." "Cuban?" "No." Like the last thing that comes to their mind is Colombian, you know? And I think that has a lot to do with the crowd that I was in, you know, which is not a bad thing. You know, I love the fact that I had all those different backgrounds in my circle, because it just kind of made me who I am in a sense with my personality, you know. But at home, I was just strictly Colombian. You know, I can't come home talking in a Dominican accent, you know, because my mom be like, "Talk to me right, boy." You know? So it was cool, man. I enjoyed it, you know, because I got to have food from different cultures, from different backgrounds, you know.
Right.
So if I was at my Peruvian friend's house, I was eating Peruvian food. If I was at the Dominican place house, I was eating mango. Mango. So, yeah, nah, it was cool. It was cool, man. That was a good thing.
So I know you said you had music in the house. So what was it really that ignited your passion for music?
I had this one friend, and I was not like, up to like 10 or 11 years old, I was just like a little kid just in the playground, you know. I wanted to do skateboarding and play sports and messing around with toys and stuff like that. But then once I got to like junior high school, I met this one kid. He was a hip hop head. And he just started putting me on, man. He just started showing me, like, yo, have you heard this track? I'm like, no, I haven't heard this track. Listen to this. You know, and I started like, oh man, I like this. You know? And it kind of introduced me to hip hop, even though my brother also listened to it all the time. But my brother and I didn't have we weren't that close. You know what I mean? So we wasn't that, because we're only 2 years apart, and so he had a certain group of friends and I had another group of friends, and so he'll always be chilling with them, I'll be chilling with mine, you know, so we weren't always like, we weren't together most of the time, pretty much. And then from that, we just went to listening to the lyrics, to the beats, and just like, man, I like this, you know, and then I started trying to like write my own little rhymes. And actually, I remember one day, I remember this one rhyme, right? I grabbed like this little sheet and I wrote some lines. I don't even remember what I said. It was corny though, right? And I didn't want anybody to see it, right? And so I put it under my pillow, and I was gonna continue. I was like 11, right? 11 or 12. And I put it under my pillow because I didn't want anybody to find it. And I think I didn't make my bed that day, you know? And my brother's a clean freak. Like, my brother loves to clean, so when I get home and I go into my room looking for my little paper, the room was done, you know, like he cleaned it up. And I was like, oh my goodness, he found it, you know? And then I go look for it, I couldn't find it. And then he came into the room and he starts mocking me. He starts reciting the lyrics, mocking me like, oh yeah, you know? And it's funny, but at that time, being that young and so vulnerable, I was discouraged, you know? I was just like, oh, you know? Because he was kind of like making fun of me in a way, you understand what I'm saying? So, I just pretty much just stopped, you know? I probably would have continued writing from that time, but I didn't, you know? And so I didn't really get back into like the whole writing hip. I've always loved it, you know, since that time that I was introduced to it. I loved it all the way until I was like about 17. Like I was like about 17 that I actually started writing, you know, lyrics again, you know. But prior to that, I'm all over the place. I'm going back and forth from 11 to 17 back to like 13 and stuff, right? But just chilling, you know, like, it sounds so cliche, but it's so real because that's what happens in New York. People are just hanging out on the block. You know, you're outside and you're just chilling. And we would have a little boombox, or somebody, one of the older cats will have their car, and they'll just put music on beats, and then me and my two boys would just start rhyming. You know, we were whack, but we were rhyming. You know, we were having a blast, man. You know, so that was fun. And that's kind of what like ignited that passion. And then I was encouraged by this one cat one time that he told me he had never heard me, but we were always talking about freestyle. Yo, let's freestyle. And he was like, yeah, one of these days. And then he just told me one day, like, yo, I think you're nice, man. Like, I could just hear it in your voice, man, you're nice, you know? And I was like, man, that's encouraging, you know, that's cool. But fast forward again, you know what I mean, back to like 17, 18 years old, that's when I actually started writing. You know, I started writing lyrics and stuff like that, but never really thought about doing anything with it. That was actually here now. When we moved to Miami in 2005. Yeah, we moved to Miami because my mom wanted to get away because my brother, my sister, and myself, we were just on a path to destruction. You know, we were just, and she couldn't take it anymore, so she wanted to get away. So we moved to Miami in 2005, and we were there for 2 years. my brother moved back to New York a year after moving, so he moved back in 2006. In 2006, my mom and my sister, my younger sister, they moved to Georgia, and I stayed in Miami. And I didn't wanna go to New York. I didn't wanna go to Georgia, so I stayed there. And I stayed with my uncle, but at the time I was doing a lot of drugs. And so from my uncle's house, I moved into my friend's house. I didn't want to live with family anymore. I wanted freedom. And so I moved to my friend's house, and every day it was just, just getting wasted, just balling out. And then in 2007, I get a phone call and they told me my brother got locked up, And then I get another phone call and they tell me my best friend just lost a baby. And so I gotta go to New York, So I went up to New York and I went with like $800 in my pocket. At that time, I'm like 17 years old. I'm like, I got money, I'll be all right. I get to New York, money's gone in a week. $800 is nothing. I'm like, I gotta look for a job now. Now, mind you, I just wanted to go to help my brother, to visit him, and to visit my friend. But I was only gonna stay like a month, and then move back to Miami. But I had no money, and so that's when I started to cut hair, because I needed a job. So I was like, I know a few things, so let me just start cutting hair. And then I went to this barber shop. It was called The Hearst at the time. That's the name of the barber shop, The Hearst. And they gave me the job. I started cutting and I started learning. And when I seen how much money I was making in a week, I was like, this, in my other job, I was making this in 2 weeks. I'm making this in 3 days. What? I'm keeping this job, you know what I mean? So by this time, I forgot all about moving back to South Florida, right? And the owner, there was 2 owners. One of them was a Christian, or is a Christian. And he invited me. God is so divine, man. Can I just tell you the whole story?
That's what we're here for.
Alright, cool. Because God does things, He puts things in order, right? Like, now we're going to go back in time, right? Back in like 2002 or something, right? My mom used to be a bartender, right? And she has a friend that told her about a side job. Like, yo, there's people I know, they're having a party, they need a bartender. So could you please service them? She said, sure. So I went as a helper, and I helped my mom serve this party and stuff. That party was at the house of the owner of the barbershop where I was going to start working at, which I didn't know. You follow me?
Okay.
So when I get to this barbershop to the interview, I'm like, yo, did you have a party like a few years back? And he was like, yeah, that was my house. I was like, yeah, that was my mom, the bartender. He was like, oh, cool, no doubt. Boo. So I got the job. We started working together. I started making good money. He invited me to church. I went to church. As soon as I walk in, the presence of God smacked me. I'm like bawling. Like, I haven't heard no message, nothing. I'm just bawling, right? And then I just walked up to the altar, received the Lord. My life changed instantly, miraculously. It was just like that same day, I had no desire for weed. I had no desire for alcohol. I had no desire for nothing. Just God. I was hungry for God. I wanted to know more, and I wanted to grow spiritually. And I didn't understand what was going on. I just knew that I felt clean, And then later on, I was told that crying is cleansing. When you cry, you let all that tears fall. You just you cleaning yourself, or the Lord's cleaning you, I should say. And so I was like a whole new person. And then that's when I started writing, and my lyrics changed. My lyrics started changing. I was starting to write things for the Lord. I don't remember my lyrics from back then, but I just know that they were guide me, protect me, I'm praying, stuff like that, Mm-hmm. And that's when I actually started writing lyrics officially, Fast forward a little later. Have you ever heard of Club U-Turn?
Vaguely.
There was a club, yeah, it was a Christian It was like an outreach or it was a Christian club thing that they used to do. And I went a few times and I seen a few rappers do their thing up there and I was encouraged, you know. Mind you, I wasn't thinking about rap at all. I was just like, I'm just cutting hair and I write it because I enjoy writing it. But I went and then I found out that they do open mics, so anybody's welcome to come in. And so I was like, I'm doing it. I'm gonna write a song. And I wrote my first song. And it took me like a month to write this track. And it's actually the last song on my album, on Loe Vale. It's called Lord, We Need You. And so I wrote it, and when I went there and performed it, the crowd went crazy. The crowd was just like, oh, like they were just like, and I was like, oh snap, what just happened? You know, I'm like, man, it was like just electrifying, you know, just like a whole different feeling. You know, when people came up to me and they were like, yo, that was ill, man, that was like the illest, I've heard other Christian rappers, but you just got straight to the point with the word, man, it was just amazing, you know, I was so encouraged that by that time I was like, yeah, I think I could do this, you know, I really think I could do this. And so God just puts things in place. He put the people in my path, you know. I met one of the Rectified Music group's artists, Jay True. I met him at a gas station one time. And I was just pumping gas, and he was pumping gas, and I'm just like, I'm listening to music in the background, and I hear the truth. And I look, and I just pop my head out the window. Yo, is that the truth? And he was like, yeah, that's the truth. And I was like, yo, I listened to him. He was like, yeah, me too. I was like, what's your name? Jay True. What's yours? You. Nice to meet you. Boom. So we started politicking, like networking and stuff. And he was in a group called the Good Boys at the time, which is now called the Fourth. And he gave me their CD at the time. And then he gave me some other CDs, and it was real cool. We exchanged numbers. And then, as God would have it, they were also connected with Club U-Turn, you know? So I started meeting up with them, meeting more people from the group, and then we just built this relationship, and we still going strong, man. I mean, we're still here today. Today, I'm actually part of their publishing label, Rectified Music Group, you know? So it's been a blessing, man. It's been a real blessing.
I know you said when you walked into the church that you just started bawling.
Yeah.
Tears pouring. So after you experienced, or after you recognized that you were experiencing God's love for the first time, I'm guessing that's when the first time you recognized it.
Yeah.
Did it make you think of other times before that where you didn't know that that's what it was, but then just started, things just started clicking at that moment, you know?
Yeah. Man, there was this one time. Now, I feel like God was always calling me. I had never, prior to this, I had never been to church. You know, I had never read the word. I had never heard anybody preaching. I just believed that there was somebody praying on the other side, you know, for me. Somebody in the family, or somebody that just knew me and that loved me enough to pray for me. And so there'd be different. And now in the Catholic religion, right? We were raised Catholic at first, but you know, you just go to, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they just go to church, that's it, you know what I mean? And then they recite the book, whatever. Not talking down on the Catholics, you know what I mean? But they have this thing where they do this, right? Mm-hmm. And they call it put on your blessing, right? And so there was one time that I was walking down the street and I just simply would do that, you know, put my blessing on. With no knowledge of God, it was just tradition, you know, it was just like, this is what you do. And so I'm walking on the street and I do that, and this lady just randomly, she's like, yeah, look for God. And I was like, okay, you know, keep it moving. Another time, I'm pulling up to Wendy's to buy some food, and me and my boy, we had just finished burning, you know, we was lifted. And the guy at the window that gave us our food, he was just like, yo, I know you guys, you know what I mean, you're just doing your thing right now, but I just want to tell you, man, you should look for the Lord Jesus Christ, man, because he loves you, and he died for you on the cross, man. He's ready to forgive all your sins, you know. And I was like, all right, you know. And then just different times where it was just like somebody just reminded me, or somebody telling me. It was like, I felt like it was just God doing this, you know. And so um, going back to when I was living in Miami with my boy, you know, there was one day I remember like daytime clear, right? I was just sitting outside the porch and I'm just there and I'm depressed and I'm like, something just grabbed me. It's just like, it was just like, and I got up and I started walking to the nearest church. And when I got there, I was looking for somebody just to talk to, cause I was empty, man. You know, I was empty. I felt lonely. I felt like I had no purpose, and I needed purpose. You know, I wanted to find what I'm here for. And so I went to the church, and I'm walking inside. There's nobody there. It's like a Tuesday or something, right? And it was a Catholic church too. But I just knew that I need to find God. And there was nobody, so I was kind of down. And then outside of the church, there's this big cross. It's just huge, massive cross. And then I just look at it, and I'm looking and talking, God, please help me, man. I need help. I need to change my life. And I start bawling. You know, I'm just there, like, face to the floor, just before God, like, I need change. I need help, man. I need to do something. I can't live like this. And prior to this, I had, like I said, I had never heard anybody preaching or read the Bible, or I hadn't been to a service. But I just felt like that. When I got up from that chair and I went to look for God, it was just like God pulling me, you know. And every other time, it was just like people reminded me, like, yo, look for God, look for God. It was just God knocking, you know. It was just doing this. And from that moment, I went to New York. That's when I moved back to New York, because they called me and told my brother was locked up, and my friend lost a baby. And so I went to New York. And then I ended up working at that barbershop with the owner that happened to be a Christian. He took me to church, you know. So it was just, when I look back now, at the moment you don't, like, it doesn't make sense, you know, like, you just, like, things that happen, you overlook them. But the fact that I remember these specific moments lets me know that it was God. Because to be honest with you, the majority of my past is a blur, you know. All the fun times that I had, all the crazy times that I had, all that, you know, getting high, or all these events that took place in my life are blurs to me, you know. Like, I have to think really hard, or somebody has to remind me, you remember that one time we did, like, oh yeah, you know. Aside from that, they're all blurs. But these specific points in my life, you know, like somebody telling me this, the exact thing that they told me, or seeing this person at Wendy's and they told me this, or me just being able to, like, walk to the church and just bawl before God and say, look, I need help, you know. Those, they're so clear in my mind and in my memory. So I know that they were God, and that He put me with the right people at the right place at the right time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I see God's hand all over it, man. You know, it's been a blessing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
Yeah. When you finally, you made that decision, like, I'm gonna do this for God right here. Because I know you said prior to that you was just writing just to write.
Yeah.
So what was it that when you were just like, you know what, this is what I want to do professionally. Like, what made you do that, and what is the message that you wanted to get out there with your music?
When I was a kid, once I fell in love with hip hop, I was like, yo, I want to rap. I just want to rap. You know, I want to be a rapper when I grow up. I used to say that. I remember I was like 13. I want to be a rapper when I grow up. Not understanding what I was saying. And then that whole event took place where my brother discouraged me with the little writing and stuff like that. So I left that on the side. Still messing around with music, but obviously my message was different. I was just talking about nonsense. When I came to the knowledge of the Lord, I continued writing and expressing my gratitude through lyrics and stuff like that, but I never wanted to expose them. You know, I never wanted to just, like, give them to people to listen to. And then when that event took place at Club U-Turn, that the crowd reacted to what I had to say, the way they reacted, it was so encouraging that I was like, yeah, man, like, I want to do this. And then so I start praying and I say, God, if this is your will, if this is what you want me to do, then please bless me with a lyrical gift. I want to, cause that back then I used to just rhyme real, like, basic, you know, to the beat, to the bar. Like, it was just like da 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 da. Right? So I start, and my lyrics were real basic, you know, it was like almost like nursery rhymes, you know, cat, hat, rat, back, boom, back. You know, like, and then so I start praying like, God, please bless me with a lyrical gift. Bless me with a lyrical gift. And remember, I told you it took me 1 month to write that whole song, you know. And after praying this and believing by faith that I had received it, I was writing songs in a day, like just writing them, you know, just writing songs. And then I have books just filled of lyrics, you know. So I'm like, man, God answered me, you know. And I was told, it's not even too long ago, man. I was told that I'm too emotional, you know, like with my lyrics. You know, I'm like, you're too emotional, you know. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, you need to do music that's gonna like for parties and for radio and stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool, you know. And I start thinking about that, and it's not in my heart, man. It's not in my heart, you know. Like, I feel like I write whenever I write a song, I listen to the beat first, and then I kind of like I follow the lead of the beat. You know, what is this beat? How does it sound? What is it? What kind of emotion or feeling does it give me? And then I just start writing, you know. And everything that I write, it always points back to God. It always points back to grace, to salvation, you know. And so I could make a hype track, a party track, you know. Actually, on my upcoming event, I got a few tracks that are gonna be like, they're just gonna make people jump around, you know. But the message is still in it, you know. And so I'm just inspired by what God has done. And even talking to you right now, man, I'm inspired to go and write and just be real, you know. I had a quick session yesterday with my friend Rob Croft, and this guy's a genius, man. He's such an inspiration to me when it comes to lyricism. He's just a lyricist. He's ahead of his time, and he's working on some stuff to come out later. But I'm encouraged by him, and he was just telling me yesterday, like, for a while I was chasing fame and wanted to have the hottest music out, you know, and I wanted people to know me because of that. But now God's showing me that I need to be in a place where I could just be real, be who I am, and still glorify God, you know. So whatever I put out now, it's gonna be me, you know. I'm just gonna be real. So that was encouraging to me and inspiring, because I'm like, I found myself in a place where I'm like, I also want to do music that's hot, you know, that's gonna get people jumping, and it's gonna be good music. But when I first decided to do music, I said I want to make music that's gonna change the way people think, you know. It's gonna make them make different decisions. Now, I released a project back in 2011, which was never released out to the public. It was just something that I felt like I needed to do, and very few people, probably like 100 people, have that project, you know. But in the project, I was very, very blunt, very transparent, and very real. You know, the first song is called "Can I Live," and I'm all about concept. The song "Can I Live" has to do with a baby speaking to the mom from the womb, telling her, like, please don't abort me, you know. So I had a few people, when I put that song out, it's actually on YouTube, it's an old video. People hit me up and they're like, yo, you got me crying. You know, like, I feel bad because I aborted my child, you know. So it touched people, you know, and I felt like I did my job. You know what I'm saying? Not to condemn her, right, or not to like make them feel bad for what they did, but because I know that the song is so powerful to touch somebody, that if a woman is thinking about aborting their child and they hear that song, they won't do it. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So that was my goal with music. You know, I had in that project called The Timeline. I wrote a story about my sister and I. It's called My Heart to Yours, and it's actually on SoundCloud, that song. When I first came to the knowledge of the Lord, I was so passionate, and I was just over the top passionate, you know. And I was just like, you need to stop doing this. You need to start doing this, and you gotta stop doing that. And you should, you know. I was just like so intense with her, and she was my best friend, you know. But when I became like that, she wanted nothing to do with God because she saw how I became, you know. I was just the Bible says that zeal without knowledge is no good, right? So being passionate without knowing what you're talking about is no good, right? I didn't know at the time. I was just passionate. You know, this new love I found. I wanted her to know, but I didn't know how to express that. And so in this song, I put our story in it. You know, just like how my change affected her because of the way I was becoming, and I pushed her away. You know, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people deal with stuff like that. You know, I got a song called "A Father-Son Moment," where my father called me. Now, mind you, I told you I didn't grow up with a father. He wasn't around. So in the song, he calls me, telling me he wants to talk to me because he misses me. And so I lash out. I'm like, what? You want to talk to me now? After so many years? Like, and so the first verse, I'm just going off. Like, I don't need you, man. I don't want you to meet my kids either. Boom, and I hang up. The next verse is conviction. You know, I start opening up to God. Like, God, man, you know what I mean? I can't do it. You know, I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to see him. And then God speaks back. You know, and he's saying, like, you have to forgive him just like I forgave you. You know? And then the last verse is me calling him back and telling him, like, yo, look, man, this is how I feel, but I forgive you for doing this, for not doing this, for not being there. You know, so we live in a fatherless generation, you know, where 80%, if not more, of the kids today have no father, you know. So a lot of them are built are have that hatred inside for their father. So with that song, I just wanted to show them, like, yo, this is about forgiveness, you know. And so that's my thing with music, just concept music. I want to put the message, not just necessarily like, yo, Jesus Christ loves you and he could save you, you know, from who you are, but also real life situations, you know what I mean? People that are going to abort their kids, or people that are dealing with unforgiveness in their heart, or people that have, like, pushed their families away. You understand what I'm saying? People that have their brothers locked up, you know. That's another song I have in there. It's called Dear Brother, and it's a letter that I literally wrote this letter to my brother when he was locked up, and I put it in a song form, in the form of a song, and when he heard it, he started crying. Like, I was able to send him the song, and he just told me that he broke down like a little baby crying, you know. And I also got a few messages in my inbox from people that heard the song and told me, like, yo, I could relate because my brother's locked up, you know. And so that's my whole purpose. My whole mission with music is just to be able to do something that people could relate to, you know. And so in this new project I'm working on, I have one track. It's called It's a Party, and it's gonna be live. You know, we're gonna jump up and down, but the message within that is that you can party and have fun without being intoxicated, you know, without being under the influence of something, you know, and you can still have a good time, you know. And so I won't tell y'all who it's featuring yet, you know, I have to wait for that. But it's gonna be a good track.
That's cool, that's cool.
Yeah.
So out of everything that you've written, like, what verse is your most personal verse, which just kind of just puts you wide open, vulnerable, just open to anything? It's just like your most personal thing going on with you and your relationship with God. What verse?
There's a few, man. There's a few. Cause I write out of experience, you know. I write what's in my heart. I write what I've been through, and the one verse that comes to mind right now is from the song on the Loe Vale project. It's track number 13. It's called Grace Divine. That one verse that really sticks out right now, like, and it's real personal. I wrote this song a long time ago, but it was like a whole new flow for me, and it had a lot of meaning. And I wrote it with no problem. I started writing, and I finished that song in like 30 minutes, you know. And it's actually one of, like, people tell me, like, they love that track. That's like their favorite track, you know. And it says, I didn't know I need you till I saw my heart and how evil. All the thoughts that came to my mind, hatred and strife was wicked, malign. I hated this life. 20 years old but far from alive. Living comfortable but empty inside. Plenty acts of good to prove to the eyes I was not saying kind. Truth is, it was lies. I never looked for you, meanwhile from the sky you reached up for I and focus your eyes in my heart in the dark. You made a light shine. Opened up my eyes, didn't know I was blind. Would've stayed behind, but you're patient and kind. Left 99 to get me in line. Your grace is divine with a precious design. Your love that abides forever inside. I can't live without you, Lord. Failed every time I tried. Went through motions, lost my focus. Still my hope is in you, God. I'm always going against the odds. Still I know you by my side. Never left me or forsake me. Said you'll walk with me through fire. When I'm feeling weak and tired, I know your strength is perfected. I could grow, never neglected. I'm always accepted. Your presence is perfect. I love you, Lord. The one that you chose is at your feet. Draw me in closer to hear the beat of your heart in the dark. We gonna shine like a star. Right where you are is where I need to be. That's my favorite verse. Like that verse right there ministers to me. You know, because it reminds me like he left 99 to get me in line. You know, he left what he has to come back and get me. You know, he thought of me. He remembered me. You know, and lets me know that all that righteousness prior to knowing him, even knowing him now, all that righteousness is just filthy rags. You know, I just doing all these good deeds to be noticed. You know, just so people could, oh yeah, such a nice guy. Nonsense. You know, so that verse touches me. There's another verse. Can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's from a track called Faded, you know, which pretty much talks about something that I deal with and we all deal with on the regular, you know, which is sin. I mean, it's temptation, you know, and faded just means like, yo, I'm slowly fading, you know, so like, don't let me go, don't let me leave, or like, I'm fading back into my old ways, you know, so don't let me go. Pretty much I need him, you know, I need him. Like, sometimes, and I know from experience, you know, I've fallen back into sin, and at first it hurts, you know, it hurts, like you just like grieved and you're sad because you feel like you disappointed God, when in reality God knew all along, you know, he's like, I knew he was gonna fall, but I still love you, you know, so right, you're righteous, get back up, come on. But the conviction hurts so much at first, but then the second time it hurts, but it's not as strong. And then the third time it hurts, but it's just not as strong anymore. And then by the fourth time and fifth time, you're just like, it's just regular to me now. You know, I know I'm wrong, but it's alright, you know. So at the sixth time, you're just like, you don't even have conviction anymore. You're just enjoying the sin. So that's what faded means. You're just kind of fading into your old ways again. You know? And that's another track that's on the album that ministers to me a lot too, man. Gives me goosebumps when I listen to it.
So I know you said you got a project you're working on. So when is that supposed to come to fruition? Schedule for it? You know?
Well, I'm working right now. It's gonna be a full album, which will be released sometime towards the end of the year. Not sure, probably October around there. I'm aiming for. But I'm putting together a few tracks from that album to work with now as an EP, which is what my manager wants me to do. And so we're trying to put together the 3 to 4 tracks to have them ready by April. And so the project is called Outdated. Yeah. And
you give us the meaning behind the Outdated?
I have a tear.
Exclusive. Let's go.
Yeah. Alright, now when I released Loe Vale and when I released the Timeline, now these projects, man, they took forever to release, right? The Timeline I was supposed to release in like 2009. I released it in 2011, right? Loe Vale I was supposed to release like in 2011. I released it in 2014, right? Reason being is because I had no sense of direction at the time. You know, I was just like up in the air, like I'm gonna do music here, but I'm also gonna do this, and then I'm also gonna do this, and I'm also gonna do that, and it slowed down the process of me actually getting stuff done and putting them out. Again, with the Timeline, that first project, I had no knowledge whatsoever with music. Like I was just, all I knew was write lyrics and spit, you know, just record, you know, put them out there. That's all I knew, you know. And then that was the delay with that project, you know, because I wasn't well educated with music. I didn't know much about recording yet. And with Loe Vale, it was some things that happened in my life at the time that caused me to backslide, you know. And so for about a year, I was like seeking comfort in other things, you know, that I used to do before, alcohol, clubbing, all this extra stuff. And so I didn't feel right not practicing what I'm preaching, you know. I'm gonna put out an album telling you the gospel, but then you might catch me in the club, you know. So I didn't feel right. So I backtracked. The time, like, it was just a delay, you know. And so that's why I was released so late. And so because of that, at the time that they were released, a lot of people said like, "Yo, Lou is good, but he sounds outdated." You know, like his sound is just like old school. You know what I mean? It's like it's not up to date. It's not modern. You know? It wasn't offensive. I was like, "You're right." I mean, I released these things like 4 years later after they should have been, you know. But then I started praying and asking for once I'm back on track now. I released the Lou I Am project, and everything's been going good. People listening, people loving it, but it's still like, yo, your sound is kind of like old school, you know. Some of the beats or the production or even the lyrics, you know, they just like sound like they're kind of outdated. So when I'm asking like, well, I don't know what to name a new project. I don't even know what type of direction to take with a new project, you know. And so I just like that word kept coming to mind, like, yo, outdated. I'm like, outdated. But what does that mean? Like, how could I make that into a project, into an album, you know? And then it's just one of those things that God just gives you. You know? He gives you an idea, it's just like, it's all clear, right? And outdated, what that means, the project that I'm putting together is, in today's society, God's principles, God's way of life, God's morals, everything about God in today's society is considered outdated. You know, staying pure before marriage. It's a thing of the past, you know, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? You gotta test drive the car before you buy it. You know, that's today's mindset, right? So purity is outdated, right? Forgiveness, it's outdated. You know, being able to party without being intoxicated is outdated. You gotta be on something. Pop a molly, you know, pop a molly, get some liquor, whatever, smoke weed. You know, that's today's society's mindset. You know, and so outdated is a group of people, you know, that pretty much rebels, misfits, unashamed. It falls under that same category where strange, you know, where, you know what, we don't fit in and we're not going to follow today's ways, you know, like society's ways. We're going to be outdated. We're going to go back to waiting before marriage. We're going to wait till marriage, you know, to be able to experience what God has created for us, you know. We're gonna party without being under the influence of anything. We're gonna forgive those that offend us, you know. We're gonna be gentlemen still, you know. That's outdated today. It's rare. People, women especially, they say that it's rare to find a good man today. No, it's not. It's not rare. You just gotta go to the church. You'll find a man in the church that's real, you know, that's in love with God, you know, and so. That's what outdated means. That's what the project is about. You know, just pretty much sharing God's ways, God's principles in today's society. You know, it's outdated. You know, they're all outdated. My sound outdated. You know, so.
That's all right.
Yeah.
The sound comes from the one who can never be outdated.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I'm hoping to bring a new sound, man. Like I said, a lot of people said that my sound on the last two projects were kind of out of date, so I've been working on some stuff, but working hard, man, just trying to get some good production. And like I said, I've always been a lyricist, like since God blessed me with that, and so expect to hear that in the project along with some new production, some crazy mixing, and some good tracks, man.
So how can people get in touch with you?
Facebook. I mean, I'm on Facebook. Loe Vale, Loe Vale. I have a SoundCloud. The name is the same on all Instagram. Loe Vale, Lou_Vale. My manager's website, which is narrowroadrecords.com, and he has my information, and he has the links to my websites, to my accounts on the website. So YouTube, I am Loe Vale. That's Twitter. Also Loe Vale, Loe_Vale, and I'm quick to respond. So anybody hits me up, I'm on it.
Well, I definitely enjoyed this interview with you.
Thank you, man.
One thing that I love that a guy gave me was just perception of just really hearing people and seeing their heart behind the things that they say.
Yeah.
And the purpose of this is for your heart to speak. And your heart spoke the entire time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do it for other people to get to know the artist.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I was able to also get to know you as well.
That's real.
So hey, my day started out a little tough, but I'm just cheesing now.
That's what's up, man.
I'm just cheesing.
That's what's up.
So we'll catch you. You said something going on in April.
June.
June.
In June, yeah. By April, I gotta have. We're working on an EP. We're gonna say it's an EP, right? But by June, we're hoping to have an event. It's gonna be at Trinity Church International, Lakewood, Florida. It's gonna be a big event, so I'll keep you guys posted. Hopefully, you guys can make it.
I will come to Lakewood. I will be there.
That's what's
and
up.
I'll bring a couple friends with me.
That's what's up.
Definitely.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for this interview, man. Thank you for the time, for taking out the time to hear me out, hear my story, man. Appreciate it.
It's a good story. It's a good story.
That's what's up.